I want to bring in a special guest this morning. We've got Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, to help set up the action today. Scott, we appreciate you joining us here on a Friday. Yesterday,
Pleasure.
as I was leaving, I get out a little earlier than the close, but I was like, I have to stick around and see if we hit it, and it was so close. So we're on the verge of records now. How do you interpret what this all means?
It's actually a little bit perplexing, to be quite honest with you, because I don't know of anybody that would have thought, given the backdrop, the overhang of everything going on right now, that we would be not only, getting everything back from the April slump, but approaching and probably eclipsing new highs right now. I think there is a very optimistic tone out there, but a very cautionary one as well. At least I am cautious. So the way that I look at this right now, Diane, is great. Markets, back to all-time highs. People that want to stay in the market, fantastic. But look what has happened to volatility. The VIX is now the lowest it's been in months. So this is a perfect time, absolutely a perfect time for someone that wants to stay in the market or even take a new position in the market to also buy a little bit of protection, whether that means buying upside VIX calls, maybe some downside puts in the S&Ps or the NASDAQ or the Russell, whatever it might be. But with volatility the way it is, and yes, it's summer trade, but vol is still too cheap, in my opinion.
Okay, that's great perspective, because I just, given what you said, I looked at the VIX and you're right. It is, volatility has not been significant recently. One of the traders pointed out on the floor that he said that what we saw in terms of record wasn't going to hold. He said we would most likely get it today. Speaking of that, one of the things that seems to be helping underpin the bullish sentiment is progress on trade policy. We've got some new details on the framework between the U.S. and China. What do you think is expected to be the overall impact of that when we think about the impact to equities and trading?
Well, it's definitely a positive move. It's a move in the right direction. I think the administration has kind of set the table for an extension of that July 9th date. They've started coming out over the last few days saying, well, maybe that's not going to be set in stone. So, July 9th was always kind of the target out there to see what would really happen. Is this rally? Is this, the buy the rumor, sell the news type of event? I think we're going to see tariff talk extended on, which probably means the market continues to grind higher.
Okay. Do you expect us to continue to see tech outperformance? Because the NASDAQ 100 has already hit a record. The broader composite's set to hit a record as well. Do you expect us to continue to see that outperformance?
I do, especially, if the Fed is likely to cut rates a couple times, and we'll get PCE in a few minutes here, which might help the Fed do some decision about July. But if the trajectory of rates is still to the downside, yes, I think the NASDAQ will continue to outperform.
And then, Scott, let me ask you this in terms of PCE. It seems like, another factor obviously is at play is the expectation that PCE will fuel the likelihood of a rate cut sooner rather than later. Do you think that is a warranted viewpoint?
I don't think that it will push the Fed to do anything in July, unless we get a number that is so incredibly low, which is not really expected. I do think that if we see a tick upwards, if we see inflation increasing, that may give Powell and the rest of the Fed some more ammunition to say, hey, listen, look, the tariff possibility is what is holding us back. That's why we're most likely not going to lower rates in July. September is on the table. But yes, this is a big number today. We want to see the trajectory of rates, just really sneaking lower and lower and lower. We want to see that continue.
And let me ask you, how significant, today is Russell reconstitution day, how significant is that in terms of flows? Because I know there's also going to be a shift between how often this happens after today.
Yes. It's actually big. It's one of the biggest trading days of the year, especially on the close. I think there's estimates of $200 billion or more being transacted towards the close of the market today. So all of the funds that track, the Russell, they have to sell what's going out. They have to buy what's coming in. So this should make for some volatility at towards the end of the day today, and then it's really good for the companies that are coming into the Russell because it will make them more liquid. It makes gets them on the radar for lots of investors, especially funds. Now, in terms of moving forward, yes, this is the last time that the Russell reconstitution will happen once a year. Moving forward in 2026, it's going to be twice a year, June and November. So maybe there won't be quite as much impact on the markets, but today we should see some volatility in that last half an hour or so of trade.
Okay, so some potential fireworks in the last half hour of trade. That's Scott Bauer, CEO, Prosper Trading Academy. Scott, thank you so much and have a great weekend.